To a consumer alert now where some changes are coming to the FICO credit score. The changes will raise the scores of people with medical debts or those who paid off other debts in collection.
But those with unpaid debts unrelated to health care could see their scores decrease, which we know would make it harder for them to get personal loans or a credit card. Now, these changes are supposed to be happening gradually. So joining us now is financial expert Chris Bridges with more on this. So
Yes.
Big news.
It is big news.
It's big news that we should be aware of, but we have to also remember that these changes come out, quite often, every couple of years or so. But sometimes we really never even see these changes. But this is the new FICO 9. That's the new score. It was announced earlier this month. And you're right, it does address several key points that we should see. And overall, consumers with, say, medical debt, right now, that's the #1 reason still for bankruptcy.
Okay.
And so consumers with medical debt will now see that it won't impact them as much. So it's going to be whether it's medical, whether it's paid or unpaid. Because, a lot of people don't even realize they have medical collections.
Right.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't even know that that's affecting them. It's on their credit score. And so now with this new score model, it's going to, relieve a lot of that for them.
So as far as timeline goes, how long are we looking at for us to see some changes actually taking effect?
Yeah, and that's a great question because even though it was just announced, it's going to be rolled out in the fall, but we really may not see anything for another 12 to 18 months, if not even longer. Quite frankly, a lot of especially in the mortgage industry, a lot of the mortgage lenders are still using FICO 2 and FICO 3 models. So we're on FICO 9.
Now, do you
Wow.
I'm sorry. Do you suspect they're doing that because it allows them to charge higher interest rates?
Not really. It's so many changes that have to take place internally for them in their systems. As a matter of fact, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae have already said they're not going to adopt these changes right away. So even though they'll be launched in the fall, there may be some systems that'll start using this scoring model, but we won't see a major change for a while, especially in the housing industry.
Now, of course, this is good news to millions out there with medical debt and other types of debt. But could this backfire on other consumers who may not actually benefit from, having medical debt?
So overall, we're expecting to see consumers to maybe have an increase of their score about 25 points in average, depending
Is
on
that
what
going to make a
type of-
difference, 25 points?
It could. It could. I mean, if you're in the 400s, it's not going to be significant for you. But it could overall. But you're right. There are some collections that this won't necessarily help. Now, one of the other things that's going to take place is that there are what we call thin files. Some people that are young people, they maybe just graduated from college. They don't have a lot of credit just yet. So they have what we call a thin credit file. And so what's going to happen with this new model, it's going to recalculate those types of profiles with a different tool. So it'll help them to have better access to credit as well.
For the most, consumers, so much of this is out of our control. Is there any way, Chris, or do you foresee a time where people will be able to say, well, I'm going to get my credit score from this place because they use FICO 9. I mean, we're talking about really deep knowledge here, but you can have a better score based on which version they're using.
Absolutely. That's great, and that will be fine if we're looking at it as a consumer and we want to just feel good that the score is higher. But as soon as we go to apply for something like a mortgage, particularly insurance, or maybe a car, they have to use the credit that they pull, which could be using a different model for that industry. So if we just want to feel good about ourselves, we can go and search out who's using FICO 9. But the reality is, if we're applying for something, we have to go by the report that they pull.
So just moving forward real quickly, your best advice to consumers on
Don't wait necessarily for this FICO 9 to come out. So if there are things that are derogatory on your credit report, address them today, because we may not really see a major impact for a year or so. So go ahead and address your credit issues today.
All right.
Well, thanks
Always
so
here
much.
with great advice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.